What is the saddest thing you have heard a child say? 1. I was a doctor at an emergency room and received a child with 80% of his body burned in an alcohol accident. I knew he was going to die in a few days due to his injuries. When I talked to him, he was completely conscious. The only thing he was concerned about was going to his class on Monday because he couldn't miss it. Otherwise, his mother would lose the educational assistance money the government gave her. They were very poor. A few days later, before his death, the last thing he asked me was if there was yogurt in heaven. I cried for days. 2. In recent news, a man entered an electrified swimming pool to save his daughter and subsequently died from electrocution. His daughter survived. My 5-year-old son looked wide-eyed as I read the report to my wife. Silence overtook the room for a moment. Then, in a small, still voice, he said, "Daddy, would you die for me?" "Yes, of course." Tears welled up in his baby brown eyes. "I would die for you." Needless to say, I swept him into my arms and broke down. 3. I have a neighbor who shouts at his kids a lot. He has a close friend with a little girl, Mindy. Does this guy also shout at his kids? I don't know. The other day, my neighbor's son, Marco, and Mindy, both 6, rang my doorbell. "Marco threw his monster ball on your balcony. We want to get it, if you won't be angry." I said, "Of course I won't be angry. Come in." Mindy said, "Are you really not angry?" I said, "No." Mindy said, "When are you angry?" I said, "I'm never angry with kids." Mindy said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." Mindy said, "Never?" I said, "Never." Mindy said, "Not even if we do something wrong?" I said, "No. I'd probably tell you it was wrong, but I wouldn't be angry." Mindy looked at me and repeated, "You won't be angry with me?" I said, "I will never be angry with you." She looked at me for a few seconds, then flung herself into my arms. I didn't even know her before this. There's no saying exactly what her background is, but I found it profoundly sad. 4. Mom? Yeah? Daddy made me wake up last night. Yeah, he kissed me and said he loves me, and I woke up, and then he left. Oh. But I fell asleep again, so that's okay. Sunshine, of course, it's okay. He loves you more than anything else in the world. Now go brush your teeth. Time for school. That was the last kiss my child ever got from his dad. Later that same night, this loving dad committed suicide. It had been a goodbye kiss. We didn't know it until that day. 5. Don't cry, Ma. I know, and I am ready. These were the words spoken by a 5-year-old girl under my care when I worked in a pediatric oncology ward a few years ago. She was a beta thalassemia major patient, a real cutie. I can still remember her curly hair, friendly smiles, and how talkative she was on her good days. She had undergone 2 bone marrow transplants in the past but came back with recurrent complications from the procedures. We tried our best, but she was dying, and she knew it. We were on the verge of tears during our morning review that day and heard her comforting her parents. She passed away peacefully in her sleep after weeks of fighting. May you rest in peace, baby girl. 6. We received a 7-year-old girl for what was to be one day. The plan was for her to appear in court the next day to give testimony about what her mother's boyfriend had done to her. The expectation was that she would then be returned to her mother, with the boyfriend out on his ear. When she returned, she told me she had to live with me because her mother loved the boyfriend more and wouldn't kick him out of their house. Since the living arrangements with the father were complicated, she couldn't go there yet, so she had to be with strangers. She asked me if I knew why her mother would do such a thing. I struggled to give her some answer without disparaging her mother, as that can hurt a child. I said, even grown-ups get confused about what's important. She cried on my shoulder until she was exhausted. Why indeed? Was all I could think. We managed well, and in 6 months, she was returned to her father. By that time, we discovered she didn't need classes for children with developmental disabilities, she could learn well, and she was emotionally stable. Her life got significantly better, but the scar from her mother's rejection stayed for a long time. 7. I was at the park with my 2 sons one day. They were around 5 and 6. I can remember giving them snacks and cheering for them when they showed me one of their look what I can do moves. Nothing fancy or over the top, just a regular day at the park. A little boy around the same age as my children walked up to me and asked, "Why are you so nice to them?" I responded, "Because those are my kids, and I love them." He said, "Are you always that nice to them?" I replied, "Yes, I'm their mom." He then looked incredibly sad, gave me a hug, and ran off. I pray for him all the time.